All right. Well, everyone, thank you for all 10, 11 people that are here tonight for coming to tonight's meeting. I know we had our NSAA meeting last night that ran a couple of hours. A lot of you I see on the list were on that as well. Thank you for being a part of that and helping with some of the discussions and rules questions and all that stuff and going over it with everybody that was there. That was good stuff last night. On tonight's call, we've got Mr. Bill Bibbin. I mean, Bill Bibbin, Bill McGuire, who lives up in Omaha. He was a part of the NUA group and for a number of years. And as we were just discussing, he's worked, 2 or 3 super regionals at the NCAA D1 level. Yeah, 3 super regionals. If I remember right, just recently retired.
Last year was last year. Went to Tennessee for the last time, so which was nice.
Recently retired, so we got to try to get him back out on the high school field.
Good luck.
So we've got him here today. The topic of discussion, as I emailed out, is kind of going to be over essentially game management and some, subcategories that kind of fall under that. I feel it's good for us to continue to pick different umpires' brains and get as much information as we can so that when we step on the field, we can continue to be the best umpire that we can, because one thing that one umpire does, may not work for you, but what somebody else does may fit right well into your toolbox. So, Bill, thank you very much for taking time to be on with us tonight.
Oh, no problem. Appreciate being here.
Yeah. So the kind of the first topic that I wanted to discuss with you and just get some feedback from you is kind of over game management philosophy. When somebody says game management, what does game management mean to you?
Well, to me, and I think everybody in this room or on this call has to realize one thing, that they know the rules more than the coaches do. Game management then relies on how you approach the coach in a certain way when something goes wrong. We don't have to always be assholes, okay? But when you need to be an asshole, you need to be an asshole. That's game management to me.
Awesome. Would you say it's more important to be technically correct or maintain control of a game, and why?
Technically correct is going to follow that. Do you know the rules?
Yep.
Okay. And once again, you're going to know the rules more than the coach. And they're going to try to talk to you and they're going to try to say, no, that's not the rule. Well, they don't know the rules. They don't. The college guys don't know the rules, guys. They don't. Maintaining control, that's a big thing for us in college. So, but that's a whole different story in high school. Maintaining control in high school, I would hope you keep everybody in the dugout. We've got so many things in college where we used to, nobody can be out of the dugout. Everybody's got to be in a certain spot at a certain time, but maintaining control of the game is making sure that things don't get out of hand. I would say with the coaches more so than anything at your level.
Yep. Yeah, I think, we probably run into more issues with coaches than we do players, just
at
our level.
And I don't know if this is going to come later, but when my son was playing, saw way too many umpires make a call, get together, make a call, coach comes out, they get together, change the call, other coach comes out, get together. We got to get together, stop the coaches from coming out to argue, get together, make a call. If you're going to change it, change it. If you're not, because it looks really bad if one coach comes out, you change your mind. Now the other coach is going to come out and try to change your mind again.
Yep.
So, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So in those situations where, coach is coming out to talk, or whether he's, extremely hot, or, whether he's being kind of just normal, doesn't have much attitude or anything like that. How do you manage that borderline behavior before it becomes a problem?
So one of the greatest things that ever happened was COVID for college baseball. And I don't know, in high school, they can't come across the line anymore in college.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can they come across the line in high school?
No.
No, they cannot come across anymore either.
No.
Okay, so that's good. That's one thing that has calmed things down. But my point to myself is listen to him. Let him talk. Let him talk. Let him talk. And when he's done, then you make your point. Because we get so much into a situation that, okay, someone's talking and you want to stop him right there when he makes a mistake. And you want to jump in. Don't jump in. Let him puke himself out. And then you go ahead and correct him after that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that I will add on to that I always learned is comments get ignored, questions get answered. And
True.
I think if we can take that approach into our conversations, we can let him talk till he's blue in the face. And if you say nothing, silence can't be quoted, as we know.
That's true.
And then he's going to be like, well, what do you have to say? Well, you didn't ask a question. What is your question?
Right. And then
I love that. I absolutely love that.
The greatest thing to end a conversation that you're never going to agree on is just say, Coach, I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree.
Yep.
And then you're going to have to put it to an end at some point.
Okay. So let's say that conversation takes you into a situation where you do end up ejecting a coach. For you and when your blood pressure starts to rise a little bit and, you can maybe feel your emotions start to get to you in some of those heated situations, how do you reset yourself in a game after an ejection?
Well, I think one of the things you need to do is once you eject the coach, you need to walk away. And your partner needs to go ahead and escort that coach to a particular situation. Now, how you come back after that, you did not eject the coach.
Correct.
Everybody on this call has never ejected a coach. They've ejected themselves. Okay, because they're at one time going to say something to you that is going to cause them to be ejected. They want to be ejected, or they've said something that, hey, it's time to go. Boom. So you really have never have been the aggressor, I can guarantee you. I mean, because that if you are, then you're in trouble. But the majority of the time is the coach is always going to be the one that ejects himself. So you should be able to not worry about it. First, when long time ago, when college was way different, a lot of umpires would let people get away with stuff because they were still getting games from local assigners, and they always wanted to be able to get back there. Long time ago, I was assigning high school baseball, and Kurt Shockey had a problem with Mike Fonfera. And I said, well, I guess you're going to have a good time tomorrow because I'm sending Mike right back to you. Because it's like, okay, hey, get along. He's one of the better umpires. Get along or figure it out. I mean, it's just the way it goes. I mean, we're all going to have a conflict with a coach. It's how you handle that conflict in a professional way. Don't ever let them tell you you're not being professional.
Awesome. Love it. So to kind of wrap up the philosophy of the game management portion, what is your philosophy on preventative officiating?
I love it, to be honest with you, especially at your level. I did it at college many times, telling kids, hey, look at, you can't do that, or hey, this is the rule. They don't know the rules either, guys. I mean, preventative umpiring is trying to prevent something that you don't want to call. Okay, let's take this last weekend. Miami and Florida were playing. Bases loaded, top of the ninth. Third base umpire calls a balk for no stop. Why? Why are we calling a balk with a no stop with bases loaded and the guy, did he not stop? Maybe, maybe not. It was a borderline. But why are we calling that? What's the advantage, disadvantage to the pitcher? I never called a balk with a guy on third base. Never. That's just the coach is trying to get a cheap run. I could call a balk a lot of times, but it was a bad situation. And guy flies out to center field, would have ended the inning. Well, they end up scoring 4 more runs and Miami gets beat 8-4 or something like that. Kind of knowing the game in that situation, that's kind of a preventative. Preventative is what I would have done in that situation. If I was thinking the guy was getting close, I'd have told the third baseman, go in there and tell the son of a bitch to stop. He's getting way too close for a balk. But I'm still not going to call a balk.
Yeah.
No. I mean, and I understand you might disagree with that, but nobody wants a balk called on the defensive side, because if the teams were reversed, Florida wouldn't want that called either.
Yeah.
But
Makes
Miami,
sense.
Miami would want it if their guy was on third, but they don't want it when they're pitching, and vice versa. So let's not just call it, because it's the old adage, you're taking the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Hey,
I can understand what you're saying there. Now, if it's a situation where it's blatantly obvious, then you got to get after it, right?
I think if he rolls through, if he just comes through and just keeps going, you got to call it.
Yeah.
But if he goes up and down, I'm not calling.
Yeah.
Bill, are
So the
you
blind grandma on the stands can see.
Hey, Bill, John Maxwell here.
Hey, John.
Are you not calling that because nobody's going anywhere?
Absolutely. What's the
Because-
deception?
But first and third, you're going to ding it.
Probably not.
Oh, really? Okay. Because I thought, they'll run through it to say, to keep the runner
runs
first
through,
close.
yes. It's like I said, if he comes through and he keeps going, but if he comes down and then goes back up,
You're good.
I'm not going to do anything.
Gotcha.
Change the direction.
Yeah.
Bill,
Yeah.
what- in that instance right there, I completely agree with you. I can't tell you how many times I've done the same thing. Put my head down and said to the player, "Hey, will you go tell your pitcher to please come to a stop?" And then the next inning he comes out, he does it again, and the coach is on you again and says, "Holy cow, man! This guy, he curbed it the one time you shared and you gave him a break. You still just let it go."
In your high school, if you give him, you might want to give him 1 or 2 opportunities.
Yeah. Okay.
And then at least you can go back to the coach after you call a balk.
Perfect.
You can
Yep.
say, "Hey, coach, I warned him twice.
Right.
Now you deal with it."
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd ever do it with a guy on third base. Ever.
How about maybe in a squeeze situation? I
Nope.
mean,
It would have to be something just because all they're doing, guys, they're just trying to play you to get an easy run.
mhm.
Because where's the deception on that? And I understand what you're saying, third and first.
Yeah.
And I know, when I first got to college, we used to call a lot of balks. By the end of my college career, I don't think I called a balk unless the guy dropped the ball or it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because you know what? What's the biggest argument you're going to get? That's going to be one of them. Now, if there's just a guy on first base, absolutely. But don't make it, with a guy on third base and there's no deception. What's he deceiving anyway?
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's a great answer because that specific situation kind of leads us up into the next topic, which is conflict management and professionalism. So when you run into that situation, you know, you kind of talked about it a little bit, but if you can elaborate a little bit more, you know, tell us about a time or what you say when you deal with that confrontation with the coach who's begging for that balk or whatever.
So college has become, they don't really understand why the rule of 2 steps towards home plate. Okay. So nowadays, all these pitchers, if you can imagine, these are my feet. They take a little step forward and then go up and then they go. Well, they're saying that this is 2 steps. That's not what the rule really was meant to be. When the Orientals came over, they would come up, they boom, and then hit again and go. That's what they should have said 2 strides is what they should have said. So the rule came in and I got a manager from I can't remember, Southern Illinois or might have been what, I don't even remember who it was. But I was like, I'm not calling that. I go, all you want, and there was a guy on third. All you want is an easy run, and I'm not calling it on your pitcher today either, because that's not what the rule is meant to be. And now, granted, this is years and years of college umpiring, which you guys should be able to get along with it too. That you guys don't have. I don't think you have that rule, do you, Chris?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So it's kind of when does the actual start of pitch is a lot of the question. So in college, it's been a clusterfuck, to be honest with you.
So a lot of the times when you're having that conversation with the coach, you just tell them, hey, you know,
I'm not
seeing anything that's deceiving there, and I'm not going to call it on him. I'm not going to call it on you.
Yep. Or I tell them, hey, your pitcher's doing the same thing. And they don't know if they're doing it or not. But I mean, just it's common sense, you know. Does it really affect the game?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, when it comes down to it, and I don't even know the umpire who called the balk. But do we really want to become a part of the game at that point? No. You want the players to win or lose the game themselves. You don't want to win or lose the game for anybody. And I call that sometimes people become they also could be over officiating. Be wise. Don't bring yourself into the game.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Jake McHugh here. Hey, I appreciate you taking some time to share with us today. Kind of switching the violation a little bit here. In college, we're working with this pitch clock now. And if you were in a situation, well, and you know, in the D1 they have them posted, but we're working where the clock isn't posted and it's on our waist. And you know, situation where bases are loaded, you're in extra innings, and a guy goes 2, 3, 4 seconds over. How would you handle that?
How do they know?
Exactly.
Hey, you're the one that is starting the clock, right? I've been in that situation, and it's like, well, they go, hey, you don't know when I started the clock. Well, we got it in here. I go, no, you don't, because I'm the one starting it. Yes, in college, you still start it sometimes at third because you're hitting a button. And I've always been to the point where let the guy get the ball back, get close to the mound, start it. You know, start it late versus starting it early. But
yep.
But then again, also, I mean, if it gets to the point, Jake, that it's like you're getting uncomfortable, you got to call it. Because everybody in the ballpark knows he's gone over 20 seconds. Then you have to call it. But
I felt really uncomfortable.
What's that?
The situation he's talking about happened to me, and I made that call, and I ended the game.
Okay. Well, did you feel uncomfortable?
I did.
Well, then there you go. That's
I felt very uncomfortable.
Well, that's right. And then you made the right call. Because if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling like, oh my God, this kid should have already pitched the ball, that's the rule. It's not our rules, guys. We didn't create the rules. And when a coach, I've always used this in a coach. I'm not here. I didn't write the rules. I'm here to enforce the rules. So, yeah.
So, in those situations where, we talk about how do you deal with confrontation, and things start getting emotion. Is there anything that you do on the field that helps you separate your emotions from your decision-making process?
Well, I think that becomes, how confident are you? If you know that you're right, you should feel very comfortable in what you've decided. And if you absolutely, it goes back to the old saying, don't call something you don't know the enforcement for. Okay? Like in football, if you guys umpire football or anything, don't throw a flag if you don't know what the enforcement is. Same thing in baseball. Don't create something that you don't know what the end result is going to be. But be confident in yourself that and if you're that confident, then you should have no problem with having a confrontation with a coach.
Yep.
The coach is always going to come out heated, right? We can agree with that, right? Why are they coming out? They're coming out because they're pissed. You have to calm them down. And the reason why I said that earlier, let them go ahead and puke themselves up and let them just air themselves out. The worst thing, the funniest thing that you'll see is these coaches will just start getting more frustrated because you didn't say anything. Because they're expecting you to say something. So if you just keep your mouth shut, let him talk, take into account what he's saying, because he's going to say something that backs him back into a corner. Because he's going to say something that's wrong.
Yep.
Like a rule. He's going to say something. Now you got him. Now you can say something at the end. Coach, I'm sorry, but that's not the rule. Here's the rule. And then here's the other thing. I've used this a couple times. Do you want to protest the game? Because I will go get the rule book and I will show you. And then that's when they really back down. So,
yeah. So when it comes to an umpire, I think this one's pretty standard, but you always get a little different answer no matter who you talk to. What does professionalism look like to you on the field, as an umpire yourself, or when you watch umpires?
So it starts with your uniform. And I understand high school, we come in, we got our uniforms. It's very difficult, more difficult in high school than it is in college. But at least you come in looking like an umpire. Even how you walk onto the field, confident. You walk in confidently, you walk together, you're united, you and your partner. I think the worst thing you can ever do, guys, and this is my biggest pet peeve, even in college, I hate it when my partner's talking to a coach. Because especially after a questionable call. How many in this room have thought, okay, what's he saying? Is he saying something about me? Does he think I missed a call? Is he telling the coach that I missed a call? Every single one of you are thinking that. Or have thought it in one time or another. Okay. You got to remember there's 3 teams on the field.
Yep.
Home team, away team, and the umpires. And if you can't trust your partner, that's professionalism. Okay. I've given a ball strike warning at second base in a 4-man crew because the shortstop was bitching about my home plate umpire strike balls and strikes.
Nope.
I called timeout. That's a ball strike warning on your shortstop. Everybody stepped back on, what the hell? I'm protecting my partner. You know, I mean, that's part of the game. I mean, so professionalism is, to me, how you look, how you approach the game, how you treat your partner, how do you support your partner. Okay.
Mhm.
And you know, just make sure you don't. If you would not say what you would say to the coach, would you say that to your kids? Let's put it that way.
It's a good way of thinking about it. All right. There's a couple other questions in here, but I think we pretty much covered those. So the last one that I will kind of ask in this area, which I do feel like falls under conflict management, is when you are working in a 2 or 3 man crew and you see a partner who is struggling. What can you do, or what do you do to try to help pull them out of it in a positive, constructive way without making them feel like you're coming down on them, which could just make the game go even worse?
Okay, once again, this goes back to, am I talking to the coach or not? I always tell my partners, hey, look, at the low pitch is the one that we have to figure out, is the biggest figuring out, because it depends if you're in the slot or not, right? Okay. So when I get some low pitches, I just look at my third or first base, you know, in the 3 man. It doesn't matter if it's 3 man or 2 man. I'm going to look at my partner. I'm going to kind of grab my knee. And I tell them this: if I grab my knee, I want to know if you think I'm okay or not. Be honest with me, though. Okay? You're not going to hurt my feelings. You know, the worst thing, and it gets when, you know, if I go out there, you know, if I was working with, you know, Chuck, you know, and I'm going to say, hey, Chuck, you know, how was I? You're going to say, okay. I'm going to say, no, Chuck, how was that? Was I dog shit? Because you know what? I know when I'm good. I know when I'm bad. I know when I miss a pitch. I know when I give a pitch. You know, sometimes you have to give a pitch to get the game going. But it's a matter of, I've had many times where I went down and I just talked to the guy in between innings. I go, hey, dude, low pitch, you're missing some low pitches. You know, open up the zone. You know, second base umpire the same way. When you're in 4 man or 3 man, if you're out in the middle, you're getting a little too wide. You know, nowadays it doesn't happen that much, guys, because we're in the college aspects. It doesn't happen that much because what TrackMan has done is made us all really, really good umpires.
Yeah.
We all knew we were given a pitch that was off the plate years ago. We all knew it because the bats were juiced, the balls were juiced. We had to widen the zone. Well, now in college baseball, we narrowed back the zone to a baseball off each side, but we've gone up and down. We call the shallow of the knee, the hollow of the knee. We've called the up pitch now, the legitimate up pitch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll be honest with you, when a lot of guys get their TrackMan, they miss more pitches up than they do down because they don't really realize how tall the strike zone is.
Yep.
But everything's gotten narrowed. I do not suggest that in high school. Take my philosophy when I first started umpiring, and for many, many years in college. And I told this to Todd Oakes, who was, God bless his soul, passed away, but he was a teammate of mine at Nebraska, pitching coach at Minnesota for many years. He goes, Bill, what's your philosophy on calling balls and strikes? I said, hey, Todd, if it looks like it could be hit, it's a strike. And he looked at me like, what the fuck? I go, yeah. If you can hit it, it's a strike. And that's the way it should be in high school for sure. So
Awesome.
it treated me well for a long time. There's no need to be so tight that these guys are not professional pitchers. Not even at the college level, let alone the high school level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that we at the high school level, we're all pretty much chalk to chalk. You know, long as the ball's not entirely on the chalk, but if it grazes that inside part of the chalk,
Absolutely.
we got to be getting that pitches as long as, I follow the Hendricks mentality when it comes to calling balls and strikes, the stop sign, right?
Yep. The
So
stuff.
high and low, if it's over the plate, I'm going to get the bottom of the hollow of the knee. I'm going to get the just under the elbow, but you put that pitch on a corner or on that very edge of the chalk, I'm going to make them lower to bring it up.
Yep. I agree.
So one of the things that we have been trying to get better at, not only as individuals, but just as an association, is accountability both on and off the field. So obviously, accountability can mean a multitude of things. And of course, Josh Lovell is calling me when he should be on this meeting. There's multiple different ways that we can apply accountability. Accountability in terms of how do you respond to feedback or criticism when either your partner or your assigner is giving you information?
Do you want to get better? I mean, there's a huge swing between, I used to call him the yeah, but guy. When I would evaluate somebody and I say, hey, here's what you did. Yeah, but this is what I was. No, it's not. Yeah, but, because that's just the way it goes. This is what you should do. So if a guy comes, if I go out and evaluate a guy and he says, yeah, but, I'm pretty much done with him, because he really doesn't want the constructive criticism. I wouldn't go out there and waste my time. Why would I go out to see anybody other than to try to make them better?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going out there to bash you, to make you worse. I'm giving you advice to how do you get better. So if you think you're already good enough, then, and I've never, even to the end last year, never, ever thought I was good enough that could not take criticism from anyone that was my peers. And it's not criticism, it's just constructive criticism. Hey, have you ever tried this? Or you haven't tried that? Hell, I was doing that till the end of my career in college. You could always learn. The day you stop learning, you'll be 6 feet under the ground.
Would you say the guys that openly gave you feedback in a game, whether you asked it or not, or do you think that those guys probably like working with you versus the guys that don't give you anything even if you ask for it?
Well, I think the majority of it is who was doing it, who felt like they had to tell me what they thought I wanted to hear. And I knew that. It's like I said, I knew when I was good and I knew I was bad. So if I was working with you, Jake, and you came in and said, hey, Bill, you had a great game tonight, and I knew I was dog shit, I disrespected you. I mean, I just lost respect for you, because it's like, no, don't tell me that. I mean, I've been in the baseball game. I mean, I've seen millions of pitches, I think. But I mean, it's like, when you're good and when you're bad.
No.
Jake, agree? Chris, agree?
Yep.
Yes, 110%. Absolutely.
So, I mean, so you come into the thing, shit, there's been more than a few times where I come in and I just throw my mask against the wall. And I said, fuck, I was dog shit. And then now the guys will come back and say, well, not so bad. Okay, I get it. They're just trying to probably bring me back up from being so critical of myself. But honesty is the first policy of me. I mean, it's, hey, if I'm working with somebody, I want them to tell me, hey, probably went too low on that one in the third, on that strike three in the third. But you know what? I probably already knew it. But I'm glad that they said that to me. So I would say that
build some level of trust, and that you're not going to bullshit me, which I think extends on the field when you're working together, knowing, okay, this guy, isn't just fluffing my feathers.
competition and wanting to get to a certain level sometimes creates friction between umpires, because I want to be in the state tournament, and John wants to be in the state tournament. But if someone's listening to me, I'm going to say bad things about John. I would never do that. Let the guys who are evaluating evaluate. And I think if you stay strong to your partner, it's a bigger plus than anything. I mean, I'll be honest with you. We used to go, and I know this is a long time ago, we used to go check bats in college. And I swear, if you spent too much time with one coach and not enough on this other side, that coach was bitching that you spent too much time, thought you were going to give them. And if something happened during the game and a call went their way, they use that against you. Coaches are all paranoid, period. Plain and simple.
Yeah, so let's talk about those situations with paranoid coaches where you actually make a big mistake, whether it's an improper rule interpretation that you misapply in a game, or whether you just absolutely kick the crap out of a call. So in a situation like that that's happened to you, what was the situation and how did you handle it?
I'd like to say I never did it, but that's not possible. I think our number one goal is to get things right. Okay. I remember working with Ruskowski at Burke long time ago. Ball went to shortstop. Tim turned the wrong way. He turned towards home to look at first. Well, the ball went to second. Then he turned around and called the guy out, and he was safe. And I just stopped the game and I said, okay, wait, time out. He's safe. You can get away with that, depending on the coaches. Don't get me wrong. It was Russell. Russell was the coach at that time. Russell knew me. He knew he was safe, and he was fine with it. But I think our number one goal, and it's harder in 2-man than 3-man and 4. Okay. And then the rules are, as far as umpires, if I don't ask you for help, don't give me help. Bullshit. Greatest thing that ever happened was replay. And I'm not kidding you. That's the greatest thing that happened. If they had to go in there and slow the game down to slow motion, and had to look at it 4 or 5 times to get the call wrong, and they overturn me, I didn't get the call wrong. I didn't get it wrong. But that's what replay's for.
Yep.
You guys don't have that. I think that the home plate, what I do, and we do it in college, I've done it all my career. That home plate umpire on a ball to the infield, I'm running up first base. You call a guy safe, something you didn't see. I stand there, start walking towards you, and it tells him, hey, look, I got something for you. So before the coach even starts to come out, even if he starts to come out, you stop him. Let me talk with my partner. Boom, you get it, get together. And then, you got to be 150% sure to overturn the guy. But these are calls. These are the only calls that you miss it by extreme.
No.
Not that you just like a bang bang. You don't do that on a bang bang play. But this is something that you get straight lined. Okay, you go into your position. The ball comes towards the first baseman is coming towards you. He pulls his foot. You can't see it. That's what the home plate umpire is for anyway.
No.
So those are the kind of things that's how I handle that. So.
And would you say? Go ahead.
Right. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and as you got more experienced as a field umpire or whatever, I'm sure you probably got to a point in your career where that situation would happen if you were working in a 2-man system where you get straight lined, where you don't even need to recognize that you probably need help from your partner and can go and make your primary call time, and then go to your partner and be like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. What am I missing information?
You have to make a call. That's the one thing
Yes.
for you, man. That you have to make a call. You can't just go, hey, Bill, what'd you have?
Yeah, no, you make your call first, always.
How to make a
But
call. Yeah.
I get those situations now that I've been doing it for 11, 12 years where the hair on the back of my neck will stand up and I'm like, I'm freaking missing something here. And I won't even let the coaches come out. I'll be like, I know what you're coming out to talk to me about. Stay
Stop.
there. Let me get with him, get the call right. And I think by doing that, you're allowing potential other conversations versus if you let them come out, then send them back to the dugout.
It's perspective
Yep.
from the other coach. You don't even, that coach has not even talked to you, and you're going to change your call. And you go back to, and the other coach wants to come out, you just stop him. Hey, we got together, we made the right call, we're playing with it, let's go. Boom, out. Let's
Yep.
go. I think one of the greatest things you guys have is confining them to the bench. It's like a technical foul. You still have that?
It's an extra warning, yes.
Yeah. That's the greatest thing in the world.
It's the greatest thing in the world unless they don't come out onto the field and coach. I think it's a worthless rule if they're already in the dugout the entire time.
I don't understand what you mean.
Because what's the penalty? If they're already coaching from the dugout and they're not coming out outside to maybe question a call.
Yeah, but if they come out and being a jackass, now he gets ejected.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I just usually skip that part, especially if they're not a third or first base coach, because what's their actual penalty?
Well, I think
I'm already in the dugout.
Yeah, but I think, Chris, it's being publicly admonished by the umpire and reminded that he's not in control of the game. You are.
Well, and I think it's like basketball when they leave their coach's box. They can't. They got a certain things that they can and cannot do. I think it's a great. Ours is ball strike warning in college.
Mhm.
That's your ball strike warning. Boom. You question balls and strikes anymore, you're gone. It's like that, same thing, but I think you need to use. I don't think I've ever seen it. I mean, there's been plenty of times when my son was playing at Scud, I was like, dude, I couldn't find that guy to the bench.
Yeah.
He's being an asshole, But we don't want to do it because you think you're not going to get to go to that school again. Because that's like I said back with Shockey and Fonfera, your assigner should never ever side with the coaches because they're probably wrong. You don't have video anymore. I mean, if somebody could show me video of what happened, then yeah. But now you're just saying, okay, what happened here? What happened there? So I don't know. I think we just try to stay out of it and make the right call.
That's right. So to a follow-up question to the last one is let's say you're in a situation, because it happens way more in high school, I would say, and especially at the youth level, where you misapply a rule, nobody goes ballistic, nobody does anything. Are there situations, well, first and foremost, what do you do in that situation? And would you be comfortable or confident talking to a coach and be like, hey, I kicked the crap out of that one in between innings, a couple innings later, or do you just let it go?
I don't think I would ever do it during the game. I've done it the next day, depending on who I was umpiring. I did it. Me and Harmon did it at Missouri State. We kicked the shit out of the baseline between home and third. I thought he was saying he was in the baseline. He put his hands out like safe. So I was thinking he said that he was okay to be in the baseline, or he's still in the baseline. I let him score. where Harmon was saying, no, he didn't tag him. We didn't get together and we didn't talk. I think the biggest mistake that two umpires, especially two umpires, I've learned this a long time ago, that everybody needs to speak. In a four-man crew, what did you say? What did you see? What's your thoughts? What did you see? What's your thoughts? What do you see? What's your thoughts? Yeah, it takes longer, but it's really not that long. I mean, it's only going to be a minute and a half when you get together. So when you get together, you say, hey, what did you see? Did I miss something? You know? And so I don't know if I would do that at your level, because all they're going to do is try to bury you.
Okay.
And that's my opinion. Now, if you're a veteran umpire and you've got a great relationship with one of the coaches, by all means, you should be able to read the room, you know, as Mike Conlon always says, read the room. And if you feel like you can be confident in yourself and he's not going to go ballistic, then go ahead and talk to him about it. But other than that, I would not.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. The next kind of area that wanted to ask a few questions in comes in the form of mostly game awareness or situational awareness. When you think about your approach when you start a game versus your approach at the very end of a game, especially when it's close, you know, the stands are rocking because there's 6th or 7th inning, game's tied, 1-point game, whatever. Is there anything that you do differently in those situations from the beginning to the end of your game in your approach to the game?
I would hope not. Because it should not matter if it's the 1st or it's the 15th inning. You should be the same umpire that started the game that ends the game. Now, I will tell you this. I think one of Matt Ossenfort's, I don't know how many people know who Matt Ossenfort is, but and Matt's a great friend of mine. And I've been I push Matt, you know, he's a great guy. And I told him the first time he ever did a Division I game, I said, Matt, you're going to come off that field mentally tired, not physically. You should come off, if you got a big game, let's just say you're doing the state tournament, final game, you probably should come off that field more mentally tired than physically tired. Because you got to turn up the knob of concentration that much. That's my opinion on that. Should we do that every game? Absolutely. Can we do that every game? Absolutely not. You know, I'm not saying to take a play off, but in the 3-man, which I know you guys don't do a lot, and a 4-man, I'm always out there going, if the ball's hit here, and you can do this in a 2-man. If the ball's hit here, what am I doing? If the ball's hit here, what am I doing? If the ball's hit here, what am I doing? You should always be thinking about what if, because then when it does happen, all you're doing is reacting and, you know, not thinking about, oh, where am I supposed to go now? You've already thought about it beforehand. I think that's one of the biggest things that I did when I was, you know, first getting into 3-man, obviously. But as far as managing the game, pace of play, I can look at all this stuff. But as far as first pitch and last pitch, you should be the same umpire.
Same umpire. So, and you did kind of mention this. You talked about, you know, you got to turn up that dial, you got to turn up that knob, especially in a heated rivalry game or a potential playoff game. Are there any other changes that you make in your approach going into a game like that, whether it's a regular season game or a super regional game?
No, I mean, the game was not as, you know, it just wasn't as fast to me than it was to some other guys. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, you still have to focus. You have to focus every pitch. I always thought about this, and this is God's truth. I hated when the first 14 went like this. Everything's smooth, everything's smooth, everything's smooth. Guys are around the zone, boom, boom, boom. Guess what happens to Mr. McGuire? I get laxed. And then boom, here comes a nut cutter and I miss it. Boom, I miss another one because of the other one. So don't ever get content. Even though the game is going smooth, you still got to focus every pitch. And the nice thing about it is you're focusing what for 6 seconds, you know, right before he starts to pitch till he pitches, should only be about 6 seconds, you know. But I've been faulty of that. So, but yeah, I mean, that strike, set your strike zone, keep it the rest of the game. Boom. Don't go haywire unless the game's way out of. We couldn't even do that when the game's out of control anymore because I'm in trouble. But
Awesome.
sometimes you have to manage the game.
I think that's really helpful, Bill. And at the high school level, the maintaining focus every pitch. I think sometimes what I run into is you end up sometimes with a really shitty baseball game.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of errors, a lot of mistakes. You know, we work the lower level of high school. That's where it becomes a challenge for me to stay just as focused and just as into the game.
I don't blame you. You're getting hit because the catcher ain't blocking the ball. You know, I mean, and believe me, they don't get any better in major college. I've got many pitches off me, you know. Guys not even catching the ball, hitting my forearm, hitting my wrist. So, but not even close to being what you guys get at the high school level. But
Yeah. So, couple other questions in this area, a little off topic off of that, but what are some signs throughout the course of a game that you recognize that might be escalating situations throughout the game that you need to now kind of be on top of your game more, have your radar up, have your antennas up? What are things like that you see? What are signs that you see that umpires should be aware of?
well, your partner should help you, for one. Well, this is a great story because it goes back to at Miami versus Boston College in the Super Regional. I was working with Tony from California, and there was a timeout called, and I didn't really get it. It wasn't on my radar, but it was on his radar. He goes, "Hey, Bill," he goes, Tony Norris, he was like 9-time CW, not CWS, but regional umpire, never did make it to the World Series, should have. He goes, "Hey, pay attention to the slided second because they've been yapping at each other." And I was like, all right, sure as shit. This guy comes in and does an illegal slide, and I got it, you know. But would I have got it if Tony wouldn't have told me? No, probably not. You know, so I'll give you an example. Another example, this was years and years and years ago at Wayne State. I'm not going to tell you the umpire that I was working with. But Wayne State, and I think it was a team from Minnesota, they were throwing at each other the whole freaking game. About the fourth inning, I come in there and I go, "Do you realize what's going on here?" He goes, "What?" I go, "They've been throwing at each other for 4 innings. This is the back end of a double header." "Oh, really? Well, what would you do?" I said, "Well, first off, I'd give warnings." You know, and it was just at that time, he goes, "All right," gave warnings to both benches. Well, sure as shit, the next hitter gets hit. Wasn't even close. He didn't do a thing.
Oh,
Now, if I do it, if I eject the pitcher from the middle infield, that doesn't look very good.
mhm.
To this day, I wish I would have. because it would have prevented a fight later in the game. But I mean, when your partner comes in and says, hey, put your radar on this, and then it happens, you got to, I mean, it's a partnership out there, and you just have to be aware of what's going on. Nowadays, guys, it doesn't happen like that. These guys make contact with each other. They want everything rejected, because they don't know how to control the game themselves anymore. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's certain situations where it can get heated. There's no doubt about that.
So,
But
I got a follow-up question to that. So, let's say you keep telling stories that lead up in the next questions. I absolutely love this, Bill. So let's say, you walk into that situation and you're like, hey, do you realize what's going on here in the game?
Mhm.
Well, let's say your partner doesn't take control, right? Whether it's of the game or a coach. What do you do?
Well, I chose that day not to do anything, and I regret it to this day. But then again, everybody would say, McGuire, you just wanted to be a part of the game.
Yep.
No, I don't want to be a part of the game. I know that this is not right. So I should have, but I expect if I was working with you, Chris, and I told you that, my example would be, Chris, I expect you to deal with it.
Yep.
I'll have your back 100%. If you eject the pitcher and if all shit happens, I'm right there with you. I'm backing you 100%.
Yep.
But you have to have that relationship with your partner. I mean, it could be very difficult at the time.
Yep.
But if you know what you're doing is right, then you should not have any problem doing what is right. Does that make sense?
Love it. Okay, so let's talk. You mentioned earlier, also touched on one of the questions that I have where we talk about benches, right? One of the biggest things that's become a big thing in the last 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years at the college level and below is obviously bench jockeying. So how do you recognize when benches start to become a factor in a game? Are there certain things you're listening for, certain things that you're looking for?
Well, first off, I don't look for anything. I let them bring it to me. Okay. Pounding on the fences, that's a no-no. It's just like pounding on it in college, pounding on the front, pads, that's a no-no. There's a lot of no-nos, but I think I saw a video where an umpire, I can't remember. It was the same kind of thing. It was orchestrated. They call it orchestrated, something that's orchestrated, meaning that if a team's doing it to disrupt, okay? So, and I stopped the game one time. It always happened on 2-2 pitch. They did something. I go, why aren't you doing that on 1-2? Why aren't you doing that on 0-0? So stop doing it on 2-2. And it was just that one of those things.
Yep.
But bench jockeying, as far as if anybody says anything about another player on the other team, that is unacceptable. Even at the college, I never let them do that. I gave them one shot. I would then, as soon as I heard that, I go, that's enough. That's your warning. You stay on your team. Do not say anything about their team. Period. That's it. Because now, then you go to the coach. That's your warning. Next time anything comes out of that dugout, someone's getting ejected, and it happens again, you're going with the player also. So, and that's just the rule. I mean, once again, it's the NCAA. Now, granted, listen, I played when we used to do a lot of bench jockeying against each other in college and in pro ball. But it's just not, you just can't do it anymore because you can't hurt their feelings. That was a joke. Jake got it. Can't hurt the boys' feelings. But my point is, you have that behind you as that's the rule.
Yep.
That's not the rule, coach. So, but yeah, bench jacking needs to, they can say whatever they want as long as they don't get personal. If they get personal, that's when you got to stop it.
Yep. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, that kind of wraps up all the questions that I had listed out for the meeting. We've got 12, 13 guys on here. Like I said, thanks for everybody for being on here. What questions do y'all have for Bill?
I think it might be beneficial for Bill, having seen so many different levels. We work this high school stuff and we're working real hard to grow our organization. We've got some training tools put in place. We've got some mentoring programs put in place, and we end up putting a lot of effort into putting our veteran guys with our younger guys so we can teach and grow. This doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes you run into partners that you just can't get along with. And try as you may to have helped them, they're either the yeah but guy, or they're not eager to learn. Even though they might be in year 3 and you're in 13, they know more than you. How do you deal with it, Bill, when you end up on an assignment with a guy you're 100% into growing both of you, and it's obvious to you he's not there? You just kind of withdraw a little. I mean,
I think I do the opposite. I challenge him. Say, hey, look, I'm not going to say that I know everything, because I don't. Because there's a lot of people that are better umpires than I am. But I will tell you this. If you want to improve, if you want to get to the next level of umpiring, okay, be it JV to varsity to junior college to NAIA to Division I, Division II, whatever it is. If you can't take criticism, young man, and it's constructive criticism, I'm not here to bash you, to say you're shitty. I'm trying to get you better. And you know what? And it's not just me telling you this. This is hundreds of other umpires that have helped me. Okay? I didn't create this game. Never have, never will. But I mean, this is what I've heard. I mean, I was a catcher. But I mean, I learned from when I went to pro ball, every single manager basically was a catcher. And they all gave me ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't work for you, throw it away. But here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're being evaluated, this is what who's the evaluator right now?
Harstick.
This is what Harstick is going, and who else? A Graver still?
Yep.
This is what Harstick and Graver are looking for. If you don't do this, you're writing your own ticket not to get to districts. You're writing your own ticket not to get to state. I'm not here to try to bash you, to tell you that you're no good. I want you to get better. Now, it's up to you if you want to take that advice or not. Yeah, that's how I would just turn it right around and just be overly aggressive and explain to them why you were giving them this advice. Because here's the deal. We're getting to a point now that we're getting less and less umpires, correct? And the younger kids don't have thick enough skin. And I've told this to coaches for a long time. You guys better start acting better to these officials, because younger kids aren't going to want to umpire or officiate, period, because they can't handle getting yelled at.
Nope.
So there's only so many of us, older guys now that we've got to teach these guys that. But they also have to open their ears to accept the constructive criticism, and I hate that word, but it's true. It is true. I would just say advice on how to get better.
Yep. That's good stuff. So before we wrap up here, any other questions?
Bill, this is Terry Freeberg. Where you had mentioned before, you wished you would have on the one where the pitcher or where the batter got hit. You wished you would have gone ahead and addressed it, even though the home plate guy did or did not do it. Would you have done it yourself, or would you have gone to the plate guy and say, "Hey, we can't have this. You gotta toss him"?
No, I would have done it myself.
Okay.
I should have done it myself.
I hear you.
Because bear in mind, in that story, Bill tried to help the guy. He went and talked to him, and then the guy pulled out his gun and issued a warning, and then he refused to shoot it. So
Mhm.
at that point, I'm done trying to help the guy. I go in and shoot it myself.
Yeah, and I should have. But me and the coach had history, and I just know what would have happened after that.
Yeah.
So
So, thanks for all the questions, everybody. Thanks for your time. I happen to be looking through my old card book because I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have one. Look at that bad boy. Look at that bad boy.
all right.
The guy we're talking to, I've got his freaking baseball card.
That's a young Bill McGuire right there.
What year
I'll
is
get
that?
somebody
Chris?
signed someday.
Hey,
What
I
year
had-
is that? What
I
team?
got a 89, 88 or 89. I had facial hair for 25 years. I shaved my goatee off about 3 or 4. Yeah, my wife's laughing back there. And all of my kids and my grandkids go, grow it back, Dad.
I couldn't even look at
They
it.
couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't even look at me. That tells
Hey,
you.
Chris, I have one last.
Yeah.
Can I ask one last question? I know that things sometimes they're regional based, but me moving back from Arizona, one of the things that they were sticklers on in a two-man crew, whether it was at the lower college levels or at the high school level, was when you're in the C position as a base umpire. What's the protocol here for a check swing on a right-handed batter and the guy in the C position helping out on that? Is that a no-no here? And say the umpire says, when the coach says, check that, does the plate umpire say, he can't see that from there, that's my call? I mean, or does he get involved? Does he involve the base umpire?
Chris is saying you have to check it.
I'm checking it.
You're going to
Always.
check it?
Yeah.
Always.
I do because there's times when you can get a check swing from the C position, in my opinion. You can.
Yeah.
It's
You know when it's obvious.
very obvious.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's a not easy sell. Actually, a few years ago, in 3-man, we would go to the guy that was on the line.
Right.
Even though it was a left-handed hitter, you would go to first base umpire when the third base umpire was in the middle. So check swings are very, very difficult at times.
No.
Just remember, if they make an attempt, if it looks like they made an attempt, they win.
Yeah, and you'll notice with the coaches around here, Chuck, that all they want, in a situation like that, if they say, hey, check it, just
Yes, check it.
99% of the time, your partner's going to be like, I don't know,
In college, you have to.
Yeah.
If they ask you to check, you have to ask.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to check just because we want to show that we're willing to work with those coaches around here.
Totally.
And we're willing to get help in situations where we can ask for help.
Good.
Okay. Anything else that anybody else has? All right. Well, Bill,
Thanks
brother,
for having
thank you
me,
very
guys.
much. It's been too long since I've got to see that beautiful face of yours.
Yeah, whatever. My wife's that.
And I'm gonna try to pull you down to Lincoln maybe some weekend and come evaluate these guys on the field.
Absolutely. I wouldn't mind doing that at all.
So thanks again, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Y'all have a good rest of the night. And for those that were not on the meeting, this has been recorded, so I'll send it out and get it up on our page for everybody to view. So
I think what you're doing is a great thing too, Chris. It's, we started this we started this in the Missouri Valley about 5 years ago. We would meet every Sunday in the off season just to go over rules and stuff. And it got a lot of umpires a lot better in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Like this. And it doesn't matter if you have 10. Shit, we had 35 at one, sometimes 35, sometimes 10. It doesn't really matter.
Yep.
So, and it's hard. Everybody has lives, everybody has kids. So it just depends. But what you're doing is a great thing. So
I appreciate that, Bill. Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your day. Thank the wife for me.
Yeah.
And y'all have a good rest of the night.
thank her in about 5 minutes. See you later, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Bill.
Bye, guys.